So I found two more angels in the last 2 days. The first one was S Club Junior. I think when I was going through S Club 7 a year or two ago, I did find this band then, but at the time I just thought they're too young for me. I don't know. I know. I think Simon Cowell was responsible for doing them, and I don't know. I thought he was just appealing to like the younger people back then, so I didn't really take it very seriously. But because I'd just done a tab about the foster kids, I thought when I saw that I was like, well, I'm going to have a look at these ones because they all seem to have names now. Before I was kind of just thinking that it was only like the bigger names. But yeah, I guess because I'm getting bored, I'm seeking more and more, and I'm finding more and more angels. So or finding more singers that have angel names, because it all seems to link to all their songs seem to link to the same title, even if it's a bit of a disguise or deceptive, if they have a deceptive title and then a different title. But yeah, the S Club 7 Juniors, I never really took it very seriously before because of them just not being my age. But yeah, I do think they represent sort of like the good kids. But I think that the kids, Angel of Destiny is like their positive name. Is it a deceptive name? I don't know, because I don't really have that many songs. So, but yeah, I think My Kids is actually the negative name. Why? Because at the beginning, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm assuming you're going to come and get me, and then I'm going to just get lots of interviews with people having absolutely no clue who I am, and then you're going to start telling people that Christ is here, and then you're going to expose me and say to people that I'm Israel, and the real Christ is kind of female, but there could be other people saying different things, saying that there's a daughter of God and a son of God, and I don't know. There could be loads of different people saying different things. I'm also Babylon, and I would say that I am Babylon the Great. If you want to hate me and think I'm a prostitute who rides on some sort of dragon and I deserve to have bad things happen to me just because I saw that some video yesterday where the rapture of believers were just saying, oh yeah, look, the woman rides a beast. I mean, would you want to be that woman? No, who would want to be that woman? I'm not actually riding a fucking beast. I'm not on a fucking dragon and in the sky somewhere. I mean, it's just no common sense, no logic, and just kind of insulting me without realising that I'm not actually sitting on a fucking dragon, because dragons don't actually exist in reality. So they're just living in some sort of fantasy whilst using their fantasies as a way of proving that their religion is the truth. And it's really annoying, really frustrating, but I've dealt with this for so long, and I can't believe people are still ignoring me. But so I found S Club Juniors. I love some of their songs. Don't Stop Moving and stuff. There's some very positive songs, and they are more the kids that I like. Happy, smiley, free to go to concerts and not to fear people wanting to hurt or kill them. This is how everyone should be, and it's just I don't know what's happened to England, to Europe, the whole of Europe. I haven't really got out that much, but I've been hearing that it's going on. Multiculturalism is going on everywhere, and I'm wondering if the Islamic leaders who are very wealthy are responsible for this. They think that the Islamic people perhaps are the same as England, as the Westerners, so they thought, right. So maybe all the world leaders got together and thought, okay, if you think that the Islamic people are the same as the Western people, then maybe we should just have open borders and let all the Islamic people come into Europe. And what's going to happen? Oh, we're going to see, it falling apart and the clear collapse of Europe. And I mean, I've hated what's happened in Europe, because the bankers who have just gotten richer and richer have turned everyone into slaves. I moved out of London because I didn't want to have to take a £200,000 mortgage when I came out of uni. And then after 3 or 4 years of hoping that the market won't go up and hoping that I will make enough money to be able to even get a deposit to buy a property, I found that the properties had actually gone up £300,000 or £400,000 in the time that it took me to make £20,000. So they were going up way too much, and you were turning people into slaves. So all the English people have left, and they're now living in. This is a bit of a patchy sky, mostly cloudly, but there's some patches of sun, so the light will change. But yeah, people have just become more and more slaves, but turned into a slave unless you're willing to take out a gigantic mortgage and spend the next 30, 40 years just paying off your mortgage. and I think people English people were forced out of London, and England and London became multicultural. Now I think that was fine at first when you were having all the sort of intelligent people living in London, but I think as time has passed, you've just started letting anyone in, anyone that can save up 30,000, 40,000 pound deposit, anyone that has some sort of money. And if they've bought a house in a cheaper location and found that that house is now worth 200,000, there we go, you can sell it, and then there we go, you can move into London. And I think more and more people are doing that. And the British people have been sacrificed, and it's just incredibly annoying, incredibly frustrating. And if you think that I'm going to like the people who have done this to me, no. But who has done this to me? Should I blame the rich bankers that have just been buying up all the houses and giving everyone huge mortgages, or should I blame the people, because the people are the ones who are taking up the houses, and so I can't get hold of them? I don't know, but I've gone to the only place where I could afford without having to have a gigantic mortgage. So I avoided being a slave. And I'm now living in an area that I don't like living in, because it's not full of nice people. Let's just say that. And yeah, so I'm hugely angry about this, but let's not just talk about that. Let's talk about, I found another singer, Milk Inc. I mean, if I have come across Milk Inc. on like the side of a video, it's probably not a video. It's not someone that I would click on. Why? Because Milk Inc. Well, who the fuck would call them Milk Inc.? I mean, that's the most awfulest name that I could ever possibly like name someone. Milk Inc. I mean, I hate milk. Like it sounds horrible. It's Milky Way. I don't like it. I don't like the name Milk. So it's almost like. It's like perhaps my higher self deliberately called her that, so that I would, if I had come across some of her songs, I wouldn't have clicked on them, because I don't like the name Milk. I don't even know how I've come across it today, but I think maybe because I've gone through so many singers, and I don't know. My eyes were just drawn to touch on it, and then I noticed that she had a few more. I found that yesterday, and then today I've actually seen that she's got loads and loads of songs. So this is a singer that I know absolutely nothing about. It kind of makes sense that she's the Angel of Israel, because there are things about the Promised Land being milk and honey, Angel of Milk and Honey. And I think actually that might have been the reason why I clicked on it, because I'm watching what Tommy's doing, and he's in Israel right now, and this whole promise of milk and honey. Does anyone like the sound of milk? Milk. It sounds gross, ill. It sounds like ill. It sounds horrible. I don't like the name. I don't like the word milk. And it sounds actually like mold as well, like rotting milk. Oh, I don't even like saying the word. But yeah, I found this singer now for the first time ever, and I think she's the Angel of Israel. Israel, I guess, is me, and therefore it links to me. A lot of her songs seem to link to me. And my people, and people who accept me as being Israel. But yeah, I think the reality of Israel is that there are a lot of people that would happily call me Israel, that would happily say that the Bible is about me, but they don't really see me as being particularly special. They would just see me as being some sort of whore of God, or wife of God, or just some person that has some information, but they're seeking another planet, they're seeking another world, they're seeking heaven. Even if their heaven is just milk and honey, which sounds ridiculous, because it sounds like that would be the sort of the heaven of like a cow or something, or a bear. What do I want? Milk and honey. Ooh, a bear would think, wow, that's amazing. Whereas I would just be like, no, I want theme parks, I want Disneyland, I want lots and lots of TV and entertainment, and lots of people to get on with and party. Ow, my head. But yeah, so I think she's the Angel of Israel, but yeah, that can have good and bad, because not all people are on my side. There are plenty of people that are Israelis that do not want genocide, that do not want war. I can understand why you don't want war, because you don't want people hurting you. You don't want people hurting your kids. You don't want to be walking on the streets and feeling like threatened. And if there's no war, then you'll feel that this is not going to happen. But on the other hand, you are blinding yourself to the fact that this problem will never go away. Islam is a problem because there are things in the religion that teaches you to kill Israelis. And the reason why there is because there is some Israelis that don't believe that I'm God. There will be some Israelis that do not believe that I'm God. There will be some Israelis that can only believe that God is a man. There'll be some Israelis that only want to believe in, I don't know, that a human cannot be, that they're not going to think that I'm Christ because I'm not Jewish or something like that. And therefore I can't know who the good Israelis are versus the bad ones. But yes, this is the reason why there's lots of conflict and lots of problems, because not all Israelis are good. Even though I'm claiming to be Israel, I'm not saying that everyone who would agree with this statement is good or nice. You know, you could believe that I'm God and yet take no interest in my posts, no interest in what I'm writing, no interest in anything. I've had quite a few friends. I had a friend yesterday who came round, and you know, it was nice to get away from the computer for a few hours, but you know, it's still annoying how he doesn't believe that I'm God. He doesn't take me seriously. He doesn't really follow my posts or know what I'm posting. You know, when he first came, he didn't come with an announcement, and I thought he might have been like a Muslim or something who's read my posts and are coming to beat me up or something. I'm a little bit concerned about that happening, and because I don't know who's watching my posts, but I'm saying I'm creating war with all of Israel and Muslims as well, all of Muslims. If you're a Muslim, you've chosen to be on that side for a reason. Now, if you find out about me and convert, then fine. If you realize that the reason why there's rumors that Israel is committing genocide is because I am hoping to commit genocide, but that is what the Muslims want, you know, an all-round caliphate for you to fight and have, you know, a one world society under a one world belief, everyone believing the same thing, the same religion, the same practice. Muslims want exactly that, and they want to do it through jihad, which is, you know, killing of people that don't agree with them. So there is, you know, they want the same thing as me, only they have chosen a wrong religion. They've chosen Muhammad as the Messiah. That is not a guy that I didn't know anything about him until like 3-4 years ago, and the more I find out about him, the more I'm like, is this even true? Like, I have no idea. You know, people who don't take their religion seriously don't really know what's in their religion, and they might just be like, oh, well, people can interpret it different. Well, you can say, okay, well, they're innocent because they're just not interpreting it in the bad way, and they're just thinking that, you know, I'm not interpreting it in a bad way, others are, that's not my fault, I can't control how others are interpreting it. But why are they worshipping a book that can be interpreted in so many different ways? You know, I'd love to have a actual conversation with some of these strong extremist Muslims. Of course, I think I'd probably want them to be shot straight afterwards so they don't start telling people the truth. But, you know, I want to know why it is that they think it's fine to worship a book that can have or can be interpreted in many different ways. You know, killing the person who causes mischief, that can be anything. Mischief can just be, I don't know, hiding chocolate eggs around the house when you didn't ask permission for it to do it or something. You know, mischief can be, I don't know, if someone's got an order decision. You know, mischief could just be causing a little bit of mess deliberately to wind them up. You know, do you deserve to be punished or hurt for that? I mean, mischief can mean anything, and it can mean, you know, really bad things, or it can just mean disobeying Allah and not following whatever the rules that Allah apparently said, even though the book was written by man and there's no proof that it was written by God. You know, and to think that, oh, it's fine because I don't interpret that way. Well, don't you realize that others might be interpreting it differently? You know, you might not think that it's fine to beat a wife up for not doing the washing up. But how do you know your husband isn't going to start agreeing with that? If he's had a bad day at work, he might start interpreting it differently. Now, if you are only going to care about your vision, your view, your beliefs, your interpretation, and if you're not going to care about what other people think, how do you know that what this other people think might actually end up being your husband that starts beating you up over it? You know, this is what is going to happen. And if you allow yourself to be brainwashed by people, allow yourself to be indoctrinated, you know, if I had friends that did not believe that I was Christ, you know, I find it very hard to tell them that I'm God. When he came over, I couldn't even have the discussion that I'm God, because I know he doesn't believe, and I know he's completely rejected it. And so I kind of feel like I need to kind of like just accept that he doesn't accept me as Christ, accept that he's, he's still waiting on Jesus and stuff, and I just have to accept this. Now if you're a person who interprets Islam in a certain way, and you have a husband and who also interprets it in the same way as you, but then you find that he had a bad day or starts changing his interpretations, you might start siding with him because he's sort of brainwashing you, and you're thinking about all the nice things he's done, and then now he starts beating you up, but you're still thinking about the nice things that he's done, even though he's now interpreting the Bible, or the Quran, should I say, wrongly. It can be for both. You can interpret the Bible wrong too, but both are just as bad. Okay, the problem with Islam is that if you start misinterpreting Islam, deaths happen. If you start misinterpreting the Bible, it's clear that death is, and murder and beating up of women is not something that is part of Jesus's plan. So one is better. Both are bad. One is better than the other, and you can't just say because you can misinterpret both. You can misinterpret me too. It's very easy to listen to these songs and these singers and misinterpret things, and then I am here to explain things more clearly. Now you can interpret me in what I'm saying in different ways, but it's clear that I have certain views, and promoting genocide is one of those things that I promote, because there are too many people in the world. But to do that because you want to get rid of the bad ones is different to doing it to people who just don't obey Allah. I am Allah. If you don't obey me, then you are not obeying Allah. And therefore, if you promote the death of people who do not obey Allah, you're actually just promoting something different to what you think you're interpreting, because you have a different view on who Allah is. So make that clear. But yes, I'm God. I'm God. And if you want the whole world to be run by God, that means you have to listen to me. And I do not agree with Islam. Okay? So if you're saying that you have to listen to God, but God does agree with Islam, well, I'm God. My words should speak over your words. And therefore, yeah, Israel is a complicated subject, because I want to come in stages, and the first stage is just to get people to believe that I'm Israel. Then get people to believe that I'm Christ. Then they have to offer the option of perhaps going to the other planets and being with the other gods, and all this, getting people excited about, the land of Sirius, I want to go and live there, and maybe there's a cartoon god or something. I don't think you should bother with that one. I think that one's a bit unbelievable, but there's going to be a lot of people that might even want to believe in the cartoon god. So spaghetti monster. The spaghetti monster sounds good. You can eat it. But yeah. And I find it very annoying though, because I've got now a pass. I've got a travel pass that allows me to go anywhere I want, and I just want to use it. I really want to use it. I have not left the house in a very long time, other than to go to the spa. I've been here 9 years, and I've never used the buses. Maybe once, probably about 4 or 5 times in the whole 9 years that I've been here. I don't like using the buses. I used it 2 days ago because I went to the shops. I was wanting to go at like 12, and I got involved in making lots of pictures or something online, and this is Saturday, and I ended up leaving at about 3, so a lot, or maybe I think it was about 4 by the time I got on the bus, because buses, they go every half an hour around here, so the buses are incredibly shit, and every time you want to use them you find that you've got a 20-minute wait. So they're not very good. But I was coughing throughout the whole journey because I felt like there was people in the bus that had like a cold or something, and I felt like I was going to pick up on the cold. But I managed to go, came back with a bunch of junk. But yeah, I don't know. I need to get out because it's good to get fresh air, but at the same time I feel like my loyalty needs to lie to the computer and doing things on the computer. And I still have the problem of being tired. I can cycle half an hour, but I'm exhausted after that, and I can't do anything, and therefore I have to use the bus. But I don't really know where I'm going. I do have things that I want to do. I want to go to Coventry, and I want to go to just a park. There's a park that I want to walk around, but I also feel like I need to just stay here. And but yeah, I don't know what to say about that singer that I found, the Israeli singer, other than to say that I knew nothing about her until now. Yeah, I don't know what else I'll find. but the Israeli people can be good people or they can be bad people. You know, there's a lot of people in Israel that are very happy with Muslims living in Israel. And if my goal is actually to get rid of Islam, and if that means taking people out, you know, if you ask people, would they rather die than convert? You know, I think that's a good sign. If they support the Palestine flag, you know, that really does show a sort of division between them who support Muslims versus them who support me. I don't necessarily support everyone who's Israeli, but I definitely don't support Islam. Hence, I'm not going to be supporting or waving any flag that is linked to Islam. And if you are willing to do that, I feel like that's showing loyalty and support and help to the people who want to kill Israel and kill the Jews. And okay, they want to kill them back, but they should want to kill them back. Why? Because their religion preaches to kill this side. You know, if you want to kill people who preach that they want to kill you and take over your land and that you're just, you know, settlers and stuff in your own land, you know, I could understand. I am feeling more and more angry the more Birmingham becomes Islamic, because I'm just like, I don't want Islam to take over Birmingham. Before it was kind of like 50-50. Now it feels higher, but it's not just Islamic though. I feel like the majority is actually just Islamic supporters, like not necessarily Islamic people. There are some areas in Birmingham that are like 70%, and this area now is one of those areas. But if I go into the centre, most of them just seem like not non-religious people, basically people that are kind of just like, yeah, Islam, Christianity, it's all the same. I choose neither. You know, I think most people are like that, and that's fine. But you need to start choosing a side, and I think by having the two flags, Israel versus Palestine, you can really show a divide. Who do you want? Israel, this one, both want to commit genocide towards the others. Okay, Israel has the most power right now, hence if anyone is thinking genocide is happening, they're going to assume that it's the one that has the most power. But if it was the other way around, if Palestine had the most power, wouldn't they just commit genocide on the Israelis? Yes, they would. And if you can't see that, then you're an idiot. If you literally don't think that if Palestine took over Israel and you know, if the Gazans took over the whole of Israel, what would they do? If they were the majority, they would kill all the Jews and all the Israelis. And if you don't believe that, then you are a moron, because that is what they have been doing in Iran and in Nigeria, I think it is. But yeah, to think that they wouldn't do that is crazy. And yeah, I don't know if Israel is committing genocide, but I'd rather people go by choice. You know, tell them about the Galactic Federation and the other worlds, and I'd rather people go by choice. But I know that there are a lot of dangerous people now in England, and we need to reduce these numbers before they start burning, you know, multi-million pound nice houses. It's not just the nice houses. It's the history of the nice houses, and they've put graffiti everywhere. You know, just to see some really nice old buildings just scrubbed up in graffiti. This is awful. It's awful. Because it just shows complete disrespect. I don't care about this 1,000-year-old building, so I'm just going to scribble on it with my. Just, can you ban those or change it? Whoever's selling the spray paints, only sell the spray paint that dissolves. Can the people who are selling spray paints only sell stuff that dissolves after a couple of weeks? You know, it doesn't have to be not long lasting, just short term. So maybe you can use it and it washes off. Can you start diluting the spray cans or something? Start diluting the spray cans so that they wash up, so that they are more washable, so that they wash off. Can you start selling that, and chewing gum as well? Start selling chewing gum that can actually dissolve within water, because the people are just destroying this place, and it's really bothering me.